I believe everyone should be able to cook the perfect steak at home. And by perfect steak, I'm talking juicy, tender, melt-in-the-mouth steak deliciousness. Today, I'm going to take you through how to choose the right cut of steak, the best cooking method, and some hints and tricks for my favorite cuts. I'm also going to give you my 5 rules for cooking the perfect steak, no matter which cut you choose. So make sure you listen out for them as we go along. Let's start with the Scotch fillet. It is absolutely one of my favorite cuts because it's got great flavor and incredible texture. Now the Scotch fillet actually comes from the cube roll or the rib section of the steer, and as you can see right here, it's got that little bit of fat running right between the 2 muscles. You can also see those little flecks of white all the way through that steak. That is called marbling, and that gives it a beautiful richness when you eat it. Here's my first rule for cooking the perfect steak. Always, and I mean always, bring your meat to room temperature before cooking it. That means taking it out of the fridge about 45 minutes or so before you put it into the pan or onto the barbie. This helps the meat cook evenly all the way through. It's how you get that perfect pink from one side to the other. Now for the thicker steaks, you need a hot pan. For the thinner steaks, you need a really hot pan. All right, so preheat your pan between medium and high for a good 2 to 3 minutes, and then right before you put your steak in, we're gonna crank it up all the way. Next, we're gonna season our steak on both sides. Now, with a Scotch fillet, because you've got that beautiful little pocket of fat right through the middle, you don't need to oil your pan, especially if you're cooking in non-stick. That's gonna render down, and that lovely flavor of the beef fat is actually gonna give you a really beautiful flavor. Hear that sizzle? That's exactly what you want. Now, you can either gently push it down with a pair of tongs, like this, making sure you're getting great contact with the heat and the steak, or you could use the back of a spatula and push it down like that. If you've got one of these guys, this is really fun too. This is called a grill press, and you just sit that on top of your steak. The thing that you need to do when you put a steak into a pan is leave it alone. I know it's tempting. We want to pick up our tongs and poke and prod. It's starting to get that beautiful caramelization, so just give it 2 minutes before you turn it. Our Scotch fillet's been in the pan now for about 2 minutes. I'm going to give it a quick turn, and we're going to have a little look and turn. Oh yeah, look at that beautiful caramelization we've got. It's had about 2 minutes on either side now. I kill the heat on my pan. I'm going to lift it up and pop it onto my rack over here. Now, it's important to rest the steak. This is a really important part of the program. You're gonna leave it rest for about 2 minutes. In fact, the rule of thumb is, however long the steak cooks, it needs half that amount of time to rest. So if it's in the pan for 4 minutes, you're gonna let it rest for about 2. We have rested our steak now for a good couple of minutes. Sometimes you'll see people cutting steak on a bias like this. The grains of the meat run straight through the muscle. So you want to cut directly through the steak like this, and that way you're going to get a beautiful eating quality, because when you're biting through that steak, it's going to be biting against the grain, which gives you that really lovely tender feeling. See that perfect medium rare, that beautiful pink texture that we've got all the way through the steak. The Porterhouse or sirloin steak is packed full of flavor, and it comes from the rear end of the short loin. Now, this is a beautiful steak that has a lovely fat cap running all the way along, and that is really helpful, and I'll explain to you why in a minute. Ready for my second rule of cooking the perfect steak? You absolutely must season it well. Gently sprinkle that salt all the way over, and then press that salt in before flipping it over and doing the exact same thing again. Now the Porterhouse cut doesn't have as much fat as some other steaks, so what we're going to do is render that fat cap down first to create some beef fat in the pan, and that way we're going to be able to sear and get that beautiful golden color all over the steak. Take the steak, and with that fat cap we place it straight down into the pan like that, and just give it a little push. Let's have a little look. Oh yeah, look at that, absolutely beautiful. While we're here, you might want to also just get a little sear on the bottom of the steak before we flip it over and cook the sides. All right, once you've got a little sear on the bottom of the steak, you can then pick it up. Just go ahead and drizzle some of that beef fat across the pan like this, and drop your steak right in the middle of the pan. What I'm going to do is leave it for about a minute or two, then pick it up, flip it on over. Oh yeah, Look at that lovely grill mark that we've got. We've all heard about resting steak at the end of the cooking, but when you have a really thick steak, what you can do is cook it for a minute or two on either side, take it out and rest it over your rack, give it a couple of minutes rest, and then return it to the heat, another minute or two on either side, and then another rest. I know it's an extra step, but I tell you what, you get perfect pink steak all the way through. Go ahead, pick up your steak, back onto the rack, and then we let it rest for just a couple of minutes more. While we do that, we can finish our plate. Okay, our steak's had a couple of minutes to rest, so let's pick it up. Oh, look at that doneness. Absolutely perfectly pink all the way through. Oh look, there's no space for this last slice. What am I gonna do? Next up, we have this really interesting cut. It is the T-bone steak. Now, it consists of two different pieces of meat attached to the bone. The Porterhouse, like the one we just cooked, and the eye fillet, which we're gonna cook for you in just a minute. Now, the Porterhouse generally has a bit more flavor, and the fillet, of course, is super tender. So I like to think you get the best of both worlds. All the flavor and all the tenderness with the beautiful T-bone. Now, it's usually a pretty big cut, so this is a great one if you're gonna be sharing between a couple of people. Rule number 3, oh, here it comes. You need the right pan for the right steak. Because the T-bone is usually a thinner steak, you need to cook it on a really ripping hot pan. So go for a heavy base pan, cast iron if you have it, because that holds the heat really well, and that helps maintain that consistent cooking temperature and helps cook the meat evenly, and it's just perfect. Now, just place it and just hold it here for about 30 seconds. As that renders down, that's the fat that we're ultimately going to be cooking the steak in. Place your steak just in the pan, just like that. Now, don't forget, we're cooking a bone-in steak, right? So this one's going to take a little longer than a boneless steak. This is probably going to take about 3 minutes on each side, even though it's a thinner steak, because around that bone, you still need to get it nice and pink. All right, while it's cooking, let's talk about how you know when your steak is cooked. I love this little test. This first finger and thumb meat. Press this part of your finger. That feels like medium rare. Move on to the next. That feels like medium. Next one, medium well. Last finger, well done. So you can touch your steak and actually get a good feel for how it's cooked. Best way to turn a T-bone is by the bone, because if I pull on the meat like this, there's a chance I'm pulling that meat away from the bone. Now, when I cook a thinner steak like this T-bone, I'll give it about 60 seconds, turn it, another 60 seconds on the other side, turn it again, and I'll repeat that process. So I'm still giving it 2 minutes or 3 minutes on each side, but I'm turning it every 60 seconds. Okay, so there is a bone that runs all the way down here. Of course, that is why we call it a T. So just go on through, find that bone with your knife, and then just slice that fillet all the way around. Okay, so there's the bone. And then you can go ahead and slice through your steak, just like this. Now, I always say a Scotch fillet is my favorite, but now I'm looking at the T-bone. Maybe I have two favorites. Next up, the eye fillet. What a beauty. This cut comes from near the ribs on either side of the backbone, and it's deliciously tender. I don't cook this on the barbecue. I don't cook it on a grill pan. I actually cook it in a little saute pan just like this one. It really boosts the richness and stops it from drying out. All right, get your pan nice and hot. I actually put just a drop of olive oil, and just with the back of a spoon, I kind of move that around. You'll see a little bit of marbling in the fillet. There's never a lot of marbling in a fillet, and in it goes. Now, rule number 4. You've probably heard me say this already. Don't keep poking and prodding at your steak. Don't mess with it. Stick it in the pan and let it do its thing for about 2 minutes. Poking, prodding, breaking that caramelization only does negative things to your steak. All right, let's have a little peek at our fillet here. Gorgeous, look at that color. All right, you ready for my little secret? Cooking this cut with a little bit of butter will really help keep it moist. So what we're going to do is drop a couple of cubes of butter in here with some garlic and thyme, and then we're going to baste that straight over the steak. But first, let's make sure we've got good colour on both sides of the steak. That's looking pretty perfect, so we can remove it for just a second. You'll pick up garlic, add some thyme leaves, and then go ahead and add some butter. Hear those thyme leaves popping away? Sounds good, doesn't it? Put back into the pan, and then you can just tilt your pan like so, and just baste the butter straight over the steak. Go ahead and turn your steak one more time, and we baste the other side as well. Next, we remove the steak from the pan, pop it onto our rack, and then we pour all of that brown butter, garlic and thyme straight over the top. Our eye fillet steaks had a few minutes to rest. What I'm going to do is cut directly across, and then I'll actually use this and serve over a beautiful parmesan, asparagus salad, finish it with a little balsamic dressing, eye fillet. And finally, the fan favourite rump steak. It comes from the hind quarter and is well known for its robust, beefy flavour. Because it comes from a hard-working muscle, rump is not as tender as some of the other cuts like eye fillet or Porterhouse. That's why it's especially important to cook this cut just right. All right, so here we go. A little bit of seasoning on both sides of your rump. Just sit it in. You can just hold it in place. It only takes about 30 seconds. Okay, once you've rendered a little of that fat, just go ahead and drop your steak down. All right, our rump's been in for about 2 to 3 minutes. Give it a turn. Oh yeah. Okay, now I know that we always talk about resting your steak when it comes off the grill, and that's exactly what we should be doing. But you can also rest it in the middle of the cooking process. So I can remove my rump steak, stick it onto a rack on a baking tray, let it rest for 4 or 5 minutes. It's going to let those juices redistribute through the steak, and then we flash it back over the heat for the last 60 seconds on each side, and then give it another rest. That way you'll get your steak even more tender. Now, you've probably guessed it, rule number 5 is always to rest your steak when it comes out of the pan. This makes or breaks your steak. A good rule of thumb is to rest the meat for half the time it takes to cook it. Okay, our rump's had about 3 or 4 minutes to rest. I'm gonna pick it up, stick it back into the pan. We're gonna give it another 60 seconds on each side, rest it again, and then slice it and serve it. I'm gonna flip it over. Oh yeah, that looks good. Okay, our rump steak has rested nicely. I'm just tearing up a little basil over my veggies. It smells really good. I'm just going to cut right through the center so you get a good look at how it's cooked. See that? That's that perfect pink I'm talking about. From one side to the other, there's no red in the middle, gray on the outside, and that's what you get from that beautiful resting technique, especially when you rest it right in the middle of the cook. Bring it over to your plate. So there you have it, everything you need to know about cooking the perfect steak. Don't forget my 5 steak rules. Make sure the meat is at room temperature before you season it well, use the right pan, allow the steak to get a beautiful sear before you turn it. Rest your steak before cutting and eating it. I know what I'm having for dinner tonight. Head in store or go online to coles.com.au for a range of beautiful steak cuts. Or if you're after more of my recipes, head to recipes and inspiration at coles.com.au.